You have got to be kidding me.
For making my very own Florentine plushie, I started off with this sewing pattern that I got on Etsy, and as you can see, I am tracing it onto some fusible interfacing, and yeah, there you can see the pattern, and then it's time to cut everything out. Cutting everything out can take some time, so I decided to rewatch some of my favorite episodes. By the way, great tip, don't be like me and use a pair of sharp scissors. Next, I'm putting all the pattern pieces down on the fabric that I'm going to use. It's a dark off-black minky, and I'm tracing around all of them in a nice Bilgerwitch green pen, which you can't see on camera, but trust me, it's there. Next, I am placing the interfacing pieces onto all of the marked out pattern pieces and ironing over them so that they stick to the minky fabric and reinforce it. That helps the plushie keep its shape and not be weak and floppy. And then there's some more cutting out to do. Please excuse the awkward filming angle, my sewing space is pretty small and I'm not used to filming myself sewing. And there we have a basic chibi body. Then I had to come up with a pattern to recreate Florentine's iconic chrome dome in fabric somehow. The fabric that I'm using for the helmet is actually an old projector screen. I also cut out a circle shape from the black minky to work as the underside of the helmet. This was my first time using a material like this for sewing, and it was a little bit tricky to handle. And here we have the helmet attached to the body. I want plushie Florentine to be able to stand up, so I'm filling his legs with plastic beads. I'm just adding some regular stuffing on top of the beads and then stuff the rest of his body. The last step is to sew his back up, which I have to do by hand, so it takes some time. But that gives me the opportunity to continue my little rewatch. painted his helmet off camera and now he's done. Next I'm going to make his boots. I'm using a pattern again that I got from the same Etsy store as before, but I'm modifying it slightly. Florentine's boots are made from a zombie bite proof leather. The closest thing I had to that is this faux leather. Turning them right side out, and with that we have a boot. Next I need to make a pair of pants. The pattern again is from the same pattern book as the boots. And the next piece is done. Going back to that same pattern book, it also includes a jacket that I'm going to use as a base for Florentine's vest. As you can see, I trimmed off the sleeves, changed the shape a little bit, and I also added these rectangles to become pockets. Since plushie Florentine is so small, I dramatically reduced the amount of pockets that the vest is going to have. In order to create a pair of tiny pockets, I folded my rectangles along the long side and I'm stitching along one of the short sides, trying to make it look like two pocket flaps. These pockets turned out so small I had to use a pair of tweezers to flip them right side out. To finish up the vest pockets, I will fold them like this and stitch them onto the front of the vest. And with that, the vest is done. The next piece I want to make is Florentine's jacket. Again, I am using the same pattern that I used as a base for the vest, just making it a little bit longer now and adding a collar. that completes Florentine's classic outfit. But there's one important thing missing to a Florentine plush. So I went online, I grabbed a picture of a hammer shot and I loaded it into Fusion 360 where I started to trace all the parts of the gun. Now that I am done tracing, I'm going to remove the image and start turning my sketch into a 3D object that I can print. My model might not be a perfect copy of a hammer shot, but it's close enough for the size that I'm going to print it at. Now to print out 2 of these. Once the printer is done, I can take these off and go paint them. And here we have a finished pair of tiny Nerf hammer shots. Now there's only one thing left to make to complete plushie Florentine, and that's his holsters. And with that, we have a fully functional holster with straps and everything. Now that I have finished every piece of his outfit, all that is left is to dress him up. And there he is, a small cuddly version of the murderous village witch Florentine.